15 years after my first time stepping on a jiu-jitsu mat, and I finally learned the one technique that beats every single technique out there that I've ever come across. It was 2010, the first time I stepped into a jiu-jitsu gym, and it was in Livermore, California. I'm walking up to the gym, and before I grab the door to open up and walk inside this gym, I look through the glass and I realize every single body in this gym is a different animal than I am, built completely different than I am. So now I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling anxiety, I'm a little bit scared, nervous, I'm feeling all of these things. And now I'm wondering, this is that point of no return. Do I open this door handle and walk inside? Or do I turn away and forget this ever even happened as an idea? So here I am, terrified to even enter this gym. How do I greet people? How do I say hello? Do I say hello? Do I wait until I'm spoken to? Is this a sensei or a teacher or just the gym owner? How do I even greet people here? I don't know any of the etiquette. I don't know any of the technique. I don't know how I'm supposed to interact in this space. Everything about this feels foreign to me. And I don't even know what to do to put this attire on to even start. I don't have one of my own. Hopefully they have one. I don't know how any of this is going to work. I have a million questions and I don't have any answers. All I have is the chance to step one foot in front of another and take a chance. So I walk in the gym and I say hello, and I am greeted by the owner of the gym, who was the one that invited me out in the first place. But it was terrifying. Class gets started after they help me get dressed, put on the pants, and I'm like, why do I need help getting pants on? Well, these pants are a little bit different than any pants I'd ever worn. And then I put on this coat thing to look like, what is it, a kimono? It's a gi is what it is. And then the belt is a whole other world of how you tie this belt on for it to stay on and everything. And it's everything about it is just foreign to me. I don't know any of this stuff. And this is before we even get started. So I'm looking like an idiot. I'm looking like I'm totally out of place. And I haven't even started class yet. Finally, they start warm-ups. And then when it comes drilling time, I'm like, all right, I've made it through all of these things, which by now has felt overwhelming enough. But now is the time where we're really about to go hands-on. And I get matched up. I get paired up with a guy who is in the Hells Angels motorcycle club. In this moment, I realize this is it. Like, if I'm going to die here, it's going to be from this guy in this moment. It's not going to be because I don't know how to put a gi on or because I don't know how to greet the sensei, instructor, teacher guy. It's going to be because I just got paired up with a guy who's in the Hells Angels motorcycle club. And either, this is the lose-lose situation. Either I somehow sanctimoniously beat him on this mat, which case he would then come back with his whole motorcycle club and murder my whole family in front of my face, or he's going to take no prisoners and absolutely demolish me right here on the mat. Luckily for me, neither of those things happened. And he was a wonderful guy that helped me with technique. And I learned some wonderful techniques that day from him, as well as the main instructor. And then I came back 2 or 3 times before I ghosted the entire gym, the whole idea of jiu-jitsu, and I wasn't to be seen in a jiu-jitsu gym for another year. I finally felt another bit of momentum burst and excitement, and I found another gym, and I went in for another 2 weeks before I ghosted that gym. And this went on for the next 15 years. I found every reason to not go back to jiu-jitsu. I found every single reason to not go back into the gym. It was too expensive. I mean, at the time I was in college. How could I afford any of this stuff? It was too expensive. I might get injured. And I was trying to compete and do other things at this time. It's too far away to get to the gym. I'm too busy. It's not as exciting as striking is. And the thrill that I get from actual fighting, not jujitsu, like actual fighting. I've had some Muay Thai training. I'll just knock my opponent out, whoever it is, or the assailant, the attacker. I'll just knock him out before we ever have to grapple. I mean, there's a million reasons that I found over the next 15 years as I popped in and out, and I was just kind of prairie dogging in and out, and I would pop up like whack-a-mole over here at this gym, and then, I didn't like how they do their teachings there. I'd pop over to this gym a year later. I don't really bond or connect with the people in that class. So I would leave, and then another year would go by before I would step foot in the gym. And this went on for 15 years before I finally, after all of the different gyms, after all of the different techniques that I learned from one gym to the next, from one instructor to the next, over 15 years of popping in for a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks per year, of all the techniques that I had learned and been taught, it took 15 years for me to find the most impactful technique that beats everything else that I had learned in any gym. For every one of those excuses that I found, it's too expensive to train. Well, what if somebody let you train for free? Oh, okay, yeah, then that solves that problem. But it doesn't solve the problem of what about you might get injured? Sure, you could train for free, but that doesn't solve the problem of potentially getting injured. Well, what if someone is the guru of injury prevention and they teach you their ways so that you're almost guaranteed to never get injured doing jiu-jitsu? Okay, that solves that, but it doesn't solve the problem of the gym being too far away or me being too busy or any of the other excuses that I found over 15 years. So after that 15-year span, I finally had this technique arrive, let's say. I finally came to meet and learn this technique that solves all of these problems. I realize looking back now that I had all of these excuses and they were legitimate reasons to not show up. But there's always legitimate reasons to not do something. There's always excuses or real logical reasons to not do something. But when you have a pull or you know within you that the thing you really are drawn to that you want to do, but there's something that keeps showing up that pulls you away from it or redirects you from it. When you have that, you have to find what one solution is the universal solution for all of the possible excuses. And that's what I finally landed on. After 15 years of in and out, I finally realized the only one solution that solves all of these excuses is to make my opponent not try to, oh, I want to be badass and beat everybody up and all this stuff, or I want to learn all the techniques so I can kill everybody, and none of that stuff. The one technique that I needed to realize that I learned that has kept me now in the gym consistently, I have not missed a single week in over 6 months since I found this technique. The one solution to this that solves every one of the problems is my only opponent is to keep showing up. Period. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to solve all of the excuses. That's the only thing that's going to beat everything on that list of reasons that kept me out of the gym for 15 years. Why it took me 15 years to finally earn a single stripe on a white belt. 15 years, I finally got a single stripe on the white belt. And it's because I finally realized that I've had all of these reasons to not show up. But if I just flip this on its head, just keep showing up. And my rule for myself is one a week. No matter where I am, no matter how much I travel or anything, I can find a gym where I could show up one time in a full week. I cannot miss a week, no matter what. If I am injured, well, I could still show up to a gym and watch and observe and still learn and process, because a lot of, especially for the athletes out there, visualization is such a high percentage performance improver on your skill set, on your abilities, over actually hands-on technique, right? You visualizing is going to increase your skill set even without being hands-on. So showing up, it's too expensive. Well, if I keep showing up, then I'm more likely to have somebody want to offer me to train for free at a gym. Or if I keep showing up, I might have other ideas where I say, hey, I'll clean this gym. I might be able to spot something that the gym needs that I can provide, and maybe we can make an exchange. But if I don't keep showing up, I'm not going to find that little gap that I might be able to fill to help the gym out and have a nice exchange where I can train here for free in exchange for my skill set that I can offer, even if it is just cleaning mats and cleaning equipment or organizing or whatever it may be. I might get injured. Well, even if I'm injured, I could still keep showing up and sit out on the sidelines, as I mentioned, and still watch and learn. Actually, one of my training partners, literally a week and a half ago, he showed up to class and he just sat on the sidelines because he had gout that flared up, and he's like, I can't train right now, but I'm still going to show up. And that to me was like, that's a guy that's going to take this the distance. You know what I mean? I'm too busy. Just keep showing up. One time a week. You could find one time. I have one of my best friends is the busiest person that I know. He's an attorney and he works 12 plus hours on average every day. It's crazy. The guy is so busy. 2 kids, house, working like a madman. And he still can make time to show up 1 time per week. It's not that you have to show up over and over and every day and all that stuff to improve. You don't have to do that. I used to think that. I used to think I'm too busy to go. I wasn't too busy to show up once a week. I was too busy in my head to show up as much as I thought I needed to show up to get good at this sport, to get good at these techniques, to learn these, to build a better body and mechanism and brain to be able to defend myself and other people. I thought I had to show up every day, or I have to show up at least 5 times a week. That's what I thought. And it's so far from true. 1 time per week, at the end of the year, you're still 52 sessions in. And if anybody you know that trains jiu-jitsu, anybody has 52 sessions in, I would match that person up against anybody who doesn't have any jiu-jitsu training. And I would put all of my money in my bank account on the 52 weeker, the 52 session person, because you learn an immense amount about the human body, about how to manipulate it, about what to expect and how to work and defend and all of these different things. 1 time per week is gonna feel a little bit hectic. Maybe the first month, the first 2 months, you might feel like, man, I don't know anything. It's all so overwhelming. It feels a lot like that moment I walked up to this gym and I'm looking through and I see all these people, these bodies that are completely different animal than I am. That's what it will feel like if you just show up a couple times once a week for 2 months. You're going to feel like these are all different animals. And then eventually what's going to happen, if you keep showing up, you're going to realize these aren't different animals. They've just been showing up. They're not different from me. They just kept showing up. They don't have the same excuses of all these lists that Anthony went through for 15 years. They just keep showing up, and it solved all of the solutions. It solved all of the problems that showed up for Anthony in 15 years of dodging this, of trying to, oh, I want to go in, I do this, I train this, and try to just hoist a trophy without actually showing up. It's like, no, you just have to show up, and they are not different from me other than they kept showing up. If you want to sum this up, the only thing that, and this is for life, I mean, I've carried this over to so many different aspects of my life. It's only been 6 months and I already see a wild improvement in so many different areas of me being able to do something consistently. For example, I'm on week 12 now. So what, 3 months straight of vlogging. And it's not easy to vlog when you're filming and you're doing all this stuff, a father of 2 and self-employed and all this stuff. But the only reason I've been able to do this is because I consistently go, you just have to keep showing up. It's the same tactic that I use to solve all of my problems in jiu-jitsu, is just find the one thing that will solve all of the excuses. What is the one thing in your life, no matter what area you're struggling in? This isn't a video, if you haven't been able to tell by now, this is not a video about jiu-jitsu. This is about anything in life that you want, but you don't yet have. You desire, but you can't seem to quite grasp it yet. Anything you have that you're making excuses for, the best thing that I have found for you to be able to do is find one thing to focus on, one thing to commit to that is going to solve all of the problems, or at least work with the one you have that solves the most problems that you possibly can. If it doesn't solve all of them, just pick the thing that will solve most of those problems for you, and you will see insane improvement in a little bit of time. For me, the one thing that I haven't found one better for jiu-jitsu or for anything else in life, it's literally just keep showing up and then set it at whatever interval. For me, it's 1 time per week. Just keep showing up once per week. And eventually, you're going to be able to face your challenges, the ones you're familiar with, and also new ones that pop up. You're going to be able to face these challenges, and you're going to show up in a different way than you may have ever even recognized in yourself before. And you'll be able to pop into random gyms around the country where you don't know anybody. Every person in there is a new body, and that feeling when you walk up to a new gym and you feel like, ooh, I don't know anybody here. It's similar to that feeling from 15 years ago when I first walked up to this gym in Livermore, California, where I look in and I feel the fear and I don't know anybody. The only difference is I have a lot more skill. I have a lot more knowledge. I know how to tie my belt now. And I also know how to greet people. I know the etiquette of the sport, of the game, of the art, and the feeling of fear is no longer there. It's a feeling of excitement and new challenges and new bonding. Because if I keep showing up, I'm going to learn more about the people that I'm training with and training next to, and I'm inevitably going to build better bonds with people if I just keep showing up. Every problem is solved by this one commitment that I made. I'm not committed to being the most badass guy on the mat. I'm not committed to submitting every person that I go up against. I'm not committed to anything other than just keep showing up at least one time per week. Just keep showing up. And if you take that with you, if you run with this, there's no theoretical, metaphorical gym that you're going to walk up to and you're going to feel terrified as you approach the door and you look inside and you see different animals from you. What you're going to see is you're going to see people who just have committed to the one thing longer than you have. But they're no different from you if you also commit. One time per week is plenty. Take this, apply it to your life, and I sincerely hope that that thing that has been pulling at you for years that you really want, you really desire, you really admire in other people, I really hope that this is the switch for you where you take that on, you find that common denominator that just keeps showing up is what works for me and has worked to kill all of my excuses all across the board. I hope that you find that thing for you. Take this, if it's this for you, apply it to yourself. If you find another thing that works and solves all of the excuses, I hope you take it and apply it. And I hope that you 6 months from now is a completely unrecognizable different person, even if only to yourself. Much love. Let's grow.